Hey folks, another NIO day in the books, and a very special one for me. So some quick thoughts. This was my second consecutive year attending NIO Day, and it was my third overall since 2017. So 8 years. And it also happens that it's my birthday today. This is September 21st, and yesterday was NIO Day held in Hangzhou. And another thing that's special about this year's NIO Day is that the singer, Hong Kong pop star and singer Karen Mok, who performed a few songs on stage afterward, is exactly the same singer that performed at a concert that my wife and I went for our 10th year wedding anniversary 7 years ago in 2018. And in 2018 is exactly when NIO started delivery of the first generation ES8. So somehow NIO and I have been somehow connected over the last few years, beside the fact that I've been following NIO ever since the beginning. So there seems to be a lot of fate. But back to NIO Day 2025 itself, like any typical NIO Day, the only thing that was different this year was it was held in September in the fall. And before, every NIO Day was held in the winter, in December, in different cities across China. But this year was held in the fall. And Hangzhou, it was cloudy, rainy a bit, but it was dry enough so that the market and the bazaar that's usually held before the NIO Day didn't get affected. And as usual, there's a lot of owners, there's media attending this kind of the open space market where there's owners putting up stalls, selling stuff. There's interest groups. There's the ET9, kind of the active suspension performance. There's different sections. There's the NIO ET5T, kind of the remodeling section. There's the Firefly section. There's the Envo section. I had a Envo little Cornetto mini ice cream cone out of the 52-liter fridge that was in the back trunk of the Envo L6. Li Hong, the president of NIO, was spending maybe up to an hour just taking pictures with owners. I talked a little bit with Danielle Jin, the CEO of Firefly, and I saw Shen Fei walking around in the Envo section. You can watch my other video on the pre-NIO Day 2025 sights and sounds. But back to the show itself, obviously it starts with the kind of a band performing, the NIO band performing, formed by owners, and then the kind of the documentary of the story of several NIO owners and how in their profession they strive to work better and grow. And grow with the light was the theme of this year's NIO Day. And one of the things that William Li talked about was really, in the Chinese, it's called 向下扎根,向上生长, which means really plant your roots down deeply and then you grow further. I think that struck me as a really good phrase that he mentioned. And now obviously he first announced the ET9 Horizon Edition, which is priced at the $818,000 and then $700,000 BAAS mode. So that's their kind of the top of the line special edition, which NIO says is a homage to pioneers who turn vision into action. And then really the main course is the ES8 launch. Now first I'll talk about the pricing. Now when the pricing dropped, there's 3 versions. There's the 6-seater executive premium version and then the 7-seater executive premium version, all selling for below 300,000 renminbi in the BAAS mode and just over 400,000 renminbi battery included. And then there's the little bit higher priced 6-seater executive signature edition, which is priced at the 338,000 renminbi edition. So 3 additions, but some of the numbers, 193 standard features across all 3 trims. So like the Envoy L9, and what the industry, some of the recent launches have done is really to try to have everything standard, which makes it easy, not only on the customer selection side, but also on the production side, where it's easy to produce to spec, rather than having too many options and features that the users can choose. And then the other number was over the last 10 days since the test drive began for customers in the showrooms, 150,000 people have test driven the ES8. 150,000 is also the number of owners in Zhejiang province, which Hangzhou is based in. So think about that. And yesterday's NIO Day, I was told there's about 7,000 people attending. But imagine every year in NIO Day, probably these 800,000 or so owners try to fight for 7,000 tickets. It was a great spectacle, but imagine trying to get a ticket to get in. Investment. NIO has spent 18 billion RMB on charging and battery swapping over the last 10 years. And they've spent 60 billion on R&D overall over the last 10 years. And yesterday, it so happened that the 3,500th battery swapping station was completed and went live in Hangzhou. They've so far had 9,900 patents applied. The ES8 is the largest electric SUV on the market, not only for NIO, but on the market. Again, space was a big thing that was touted. This has 777 liters total, including a 547 liter trunk space and a 230 liter front. So total kind of the front and back space for items and luggages. It was funny that they're using this front and saying that it's the most convenient vehicle for designated drivers, which means designated drivers. Let's say when you drink and you want someone else to drive for you, there's a platform for that. So they can just put the little vehicle in the front. And they were touting this 6 passengers, 12 luggages, MVP seats, and MPV space. And now they have 3 rows of zero gravity seating, including the zero gravity seating front right passenger side seat. And then they also have lateral sliding second row seat. They have this walk-in closet on wheels where you have kind of a set of a wardrobe in the back. They have the Cedar, latest generation of OS with ultra low latency. A feature where you can park the car in a guarding mode and it only wastes 1 kilowatt hour of electricity per day. One of the things that they showed was quite impressive. Now that's going to be OTA updated into the vehicle, is this large language, kind of the end-to-end NIO World model with the driver model, where it was showing some feature where a guy was leaving the vehicle in the middle of kind of the underground parking to have a coffee, and the car was blocking someone that was trying to get out in a parking space. So the car backed away by itself to let the car from the parking space leave. Once that car left, the car parked into the space by itself. Now you do have to be in close proximity with the vehicle, but I thought that was a cool feature. And then safety. Safety was one of the things that emphasized. They showed a double triple, which was a triple impact test at 100 kilometers per hour. So the vehicle gets impact tested at 100 meters per hour in 3 consecutive sessions. Not 3 separate ones, but 3 consecutive sessions. So basically the car was damaged from all angles possible. And then they also showed this automatic emergency steering in a closed circle where they had this clear tape, which usually it's very hard to see. So they had 3 of these left, and it was showing the ES8 maneuvering over these 3 kind of the taped hurdles in this consecutive automatic emergency steering fashion. I thought that was pretty impressive. And then, I mean, the other ones, 100 kilowatt hour batteries, 540 kilowatt e-motors. I think comfort, smartification, smart lighting, high definition pixel lighting. And then the smart safety, active and passive features. They're showing best-in-class airbags, curtain airbags. It's called the all-weather AR HUD. Is NOMI now? They're putting this NOMI intelligence into the vehicle, which makes it more smart. So really, I think ES8, when the prices were dropped, it was pandemonium inside this Hangzhou International Expo Center, and crowds started chanting "Bin God" instead of Brother Bin, Bin God. So now we have a second consecutive blockbuster model after the Envoy L90, and the cadence with which the ES8 is launching is exactly the same as the Envoy L90. So the launch was yesterday. Delivery starts today. And William, he said they are planning to produce 40,000 units until the end of the year, which we can imagine if those 40,000 units are all delivered, it's going to be a 10K per month model again for the entire NIO group following the Envoy L90, which did 10,000 units in August, its first full month on sale. So that's a quick recap. Me and a few other KOLs were kind of discussing this NIO Day. NIO Day over the years have progressed, have changed a bit. It felt more like a launch event rather than a full NIO Day, because usually NIO Day announces a new model for the next year, because it's usually held in December, but it announces a new model for the next year. And then it won't launch and get delivered until well into the summer and the fall of next year. That was usually the cadence. But now for 2 consecutive models, we've seen boom, boom, boom. We've seen the pre-sale announcement, media test drive, customer test drives, launch, delivery, all in succession within a month period. And I was talking to some of these folks from the media, and I think NIO is, at this point, is really focusing on the models themselves and really not giving away too much of their future models. We know the ES9 is coming. We know the ES7 is coming. We know the L80 has been delayed. So I think the current focus really is keeping that momentum on the Envoy L90, on the ES8, and focus on those products and really getting the volumes into the 50,000 units per month by the end of the year, which William kind of predicted or wanted in the recent earnings call. Really pressing on the electric pedal and not having other models come into the picture yet. Really focusing on finishing this year strong. And I think NIO will finish this year strong. And again, so many different things about this year's NIO Day for itself, for me. Also the fact that going into this year's NIO Day, NIO is on a high, whereas in previous years, it wasn't. So we're going to see how the ES8 does. I will not be surprised if it does 10K a month in the coming months, if not in September, October. But getting to that 30,000 to 40,000 unit for Q4, I think is entirely attainable. And then we'll see the ultimate goal is, again, they're still sticking to this. And given the Envoy L90, given this ES8, we're getting closer to the prospect of NIO reaching break even. And we'll see. And tomorrow, actually later today in the morning, we'll have a special session to talk to William Li, and I'll ask him some questions about the same question I asked him last year was the keyword for 2025. They said it was going to be reshaping of the industry and 跨越, which means going over hurdles, getting to the next level for NIO for 2025, which they have done. So I'm going to ask the same question, what is going to be the keyword for the industry and NIO next year in 2026? And then kind of see William and Li Hong's comments on different NIO models, on the ES8, on the industry, and hopefully get some feedback.